Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here and talk about this case where you have a fragile psyche cavely male who really does represent the overall diaspora, who apparently murdered his son, who was 6, his wife, and his ex-wife, and then killed himself. Okay? So it's really funny because if you guys remember on my live stream with Cheryl the other day, we were discussing, well, before she came on there, I was discussing domestic fatalities, and there was a, who somebody said claimed to be a black man. Now, whether this was a black man was never confirmed, but people said that they were familiar with him and that it was a black man. But anyway, this person was on my channel defending the white community, talking about, well, not all of them murder their wives, you know, because you had a person talking about a woman, a black woman, and they're talking about how she will never be with a black man again, and had to be checked because this is not the channel for that. I don't know whether she thought this was Crystal and Karazin's channel or whoever, but this ain't the place where you just get to come in here and try to prop white men on a pedestal as if they're not out there killing everything, including themselves. So it's really funny that you keep seeing stories like this, but yet the self-hate of a lot of these black women who choose to be with white men, the self-hate ignores it, and they think that if they go over to these white men, they're going to get a better experience than with black men who they claim to be abusive. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't any black men killing their partners. There are. And there's more than there should be. However, if we look at the data clearly, you just wouldn't, if you were smart, you wouldn't really think that in order to lower the chances of being with an abusive man, you would go from the men who have the lowest rate of domestic fatalities to the men who have the highest. Because the reality is we see these stories like this with white men all too common. What we don't see is stories like this with black men all too common. Again, that's not to say that black men don't do it, but we're not going to try to sit here and act like it's equal numbers. And people can miss me with their population size argument because people have failed. What they've done is they failed to tell me how population size is making these white men engage in domestic fatalities and murder their children and themselves. That's what they're not telling me. And they won't tell me that because the reality of it is that they're just not going to tell me that they're not going to explain it because this isn't coming from a place of authenticity. This is coming from a place of a coon mindset. Okay? So I want to get into a news clip, and then I'll come back and read the article because I want us to see how this unfolded. And I want you also to pay attention to how the media sits there and markets this dude because they're already talking about distraught father. Okay, and no, this is a psychopathic demonic terrorist, and this is just a pathology of the typical white male in America. But let's get to this video. I'll come back for commentary.
New information in the grisly deaths of 4 people in an apartment in Queens. One of the victims, a 6-year-old boy. And good evening, everyone, at 6 o'clock. I'm Bill Ritter. Liz is off tonight. A bloody murder-suicide. A family wiped out after an international custody battle ends in deadly gunfire in Queens. New York cops say James Shields killed his ex-wife and their young son. Another victim, believed to be his current wife, was also shot and killed. And then Shields turned the gun on himself. All that happening last night in Astoria. Eyewitness News reporter Sandra Brooklyn live at the scene with our lead story tonight. Sandra.
Bill, it wasn't long after police arrived here at the scene here in Astoria last night that they began to suspect this might be a triple murder-suicide. And finally today, after talking to family members, neighbors, and even scouring social media, they determined that this was apparently a case of a man so desperately afraid of losing his child that he decided, for whatever reason, that murder was the only way out. Even as beat cops guarded the crime scene today, detectives were working to unravel the mystery of what may have led to the triple murder-suicide that has stunned residents along this Astoria block.
It's crazy. I'm still in shock myself. I can't believe it.
Police now say an ongoing, bitter child custody battle was likely the lethal trigger that led 39-year-old James Shields to shoot and kill his ex-wife, 47-year-old Linda Olthoff, their 6-year-old son, James Jr., and his current wife, a 38-year-old whose identity is so far being withheld, and then turned the gun on himself.
What we have here is an ongoing case where we believe at this point in time that the ex-wife had custody of this child. There has been some agreements in place where visitation has gone on back and forth, where the child would come to the U.S.
In a recent GoFundMe page established by Shields and titled Child Kidnapping, he pleads for financial assistance to help in his fight for custody, complaining, "The financial stress of this is destroying my current marriage and life. I had the perfect life a few years ago, but it has spiraled out of control." Earlier today, a man who identified himself as the father of James Shields sat dazed and bewildered on the steps of the building where the killings took place, remembering his son.
He's a good man, good boy.
And grandson.
Oh, he's beautiful, very friendly.
And wondering why.
He never even talked to me much. He kept everything a secret.
Now, police also revealed to us this afternoon they also made another disturbing discovery inside this apartment 1B. They say they found 2 Glock firearms and 7 fully loaded magazines. Detectives admit, though, they will likely never know what those rounds were meant for.
And so I want you guys to notice something, especially as I minimize this. Look at their description. A distraught 39-year-old man is believed to have killed his current wife, ex-wife, and 6-year-old son in a triple murder-suicide over a custody dispute. Do y'all see how they seek to normalize this man and say that he was distraught? The reality of it is it sounded like this dude, like a lot of white people, because they're psychologically frail, they can't handle anything, not even the least bit of adversity, they just can't handle it. But he set up, they're sitting up here calling him a distraught man, as if to provoke sympathy from you guys, when this dude was not only murdering himself, but I don't know about y'all, I didn't miss the part where he had 2 guns and 7 full clips, okay? So most likely what was going to happen is he wanted to go on a kamikaze, okay? He probably was going to go out there and shoot up more and kill more than just his wife, his ex-wife, and his kid, and then himself. So this man probably had a plan to do mass destruction and death like they usually do. And he probably just chose against it and decided to kill himself. But nobody's going to put, you can best believe for 3 humans, you're not going to load 7 clips. You're not going to load 7 individual clips. I'm not talking about 7 bullets in the chambers. I'm talking about 7 whole full clips that he can just repeatedly reload his gun with. That's a person that's trying to take out multiple people. So that's the reality of it. And then for some reason, he just chose not to do that. But the fact that, and the other thing that I wanted you guys to point out, notice how they kept intermittently referring to him as a boy and then as a man. So it seems like even when a white person is 85, they'll go out of their way to try to say he was a boy. This is a whole 39-year-old grown man, okay? So nobody should be calling him a boy. I don't even care whether you're his daddy, uncle, brother, or grandparent. Nobody should be calling a 39-year-old. This dude is 40. Okay, he was 40. Why are you still trying to refer to a 40-year-old white man that looked 80 that was planning to murder a whole bunch of people? We're referring to him as boys from a 2-teeth hillbilly sitting on some stairs? I don't think so. It says on Monday night, like you already know, the 39-year-old New York City man committed suicide shortly after fatally shooting his ex-wife and 6-year-old son. And NYPD sources confirmed to People a bitter custody battle may have been behind the violence. It doesn't matter. It's not normal for you to go on these violent, psychopathic murder-suicide sprees just because you go through a custody battle. Do y'all know how many people go through custody battles on a daily basis? And this weak, psychotic, frail, prone to violent struggle gene chose to kill his family and himself. and was planning to kill more people. And that's what I be wanting Black people to understand. They can't deal with even anything that look like they might be heading towards adversity. That's why they're sitting up here getting all aggressive over the fact that they perceive somebody to be taking their jobs. I need Black people to understand their psychopathology. Okay? These are a group of violent, psychologically frail people. They do not, and I will reiterate, they do not know how to deal with the least bit of adversity. They know they are inadequate. They know they can't compete on equal level. And that is one of the reasons, not the primary, but it's one of the reasons why they're ramping up their aggression today. Like you heard in the Nike video, I was watching a video on the Nike protest on somebody's page, I forgot who it was. And in that video, you had a white person burning their Nikes, talking about they can't wait for the race war to pop off. They're done with these damn liberals. And so they look for opportunities to be violent. They look for opportunities to be savage because this is who they are. So it's deeply offensive to me that any Black woman would be sitting up in my chat room talking about how abusive Black men are, and then they need to go out there and get a white man. If you choose to go lay up with these dogs and get fleas, that's on you. Just don't bring it to my channel. That's all I do know. It says, inside the apartment, police found Shields dead from a pair of self-inflicted injuries. NYPD sources say he cut his own throat and shot himself. Do y'all know how psychotic you gotta be to slit your own throat and shoot yourself? I just want you guys to marinate on that. I really want you guys to think about that, marinate on it. What would it take for a psychotic person to slit their own throat and then shoot themselves? One or the other is okay. I mean, did you change your mind? Did you first think that, oh, let me just go ahead and slit my own throat, and then just decide, well, slitting my throat is not, I can't ensure that I'm going to die that way. Let me blow my head off. Deeper into his apartment, they found the bodies of his wife, 38-year-old Saskia Shields, his ex-wife, 47-year-old Linda Olthoff, and his son, James Jr. All were shot to death. A note was found at the scene, according to sources. So if a note was found, then they probably do know why he had those 7 chambers or those 7 clips. The sources confirm the note said, I had a perfect life and now it's all screwed up. So that's all that the note said? Olthoff and James Jr. were visiting Shields from the Netherlands, where they were living, the source says. Shields had set up a GoFundMe. We already know that. So the bottom line is he got the money. Oh, they said no one donated to Shields' cause. Okay. My beautiful son is 6 years old, and my ex-wife lived in the Netherlands. We were married, and because she couldn't find work as an artist, ran back home to Holland after she was pregnant with my son, devastating me. The page read, no one donated to Shields' cause. Now, understand that his problems are his own problems. That's just the reality of what it is. But the fact of the matter is, this shows you how psychologically frail these Neanderthals are. And I actually did a video on issues with their Neanderthal DNA, and one of those things was psychoticness, depression, and propensity to violence. So this is just a part of their genetic makeup. But again, once again, I have Black people in my comment sections trying to sit up here and cape for these demons. And then in one breath, they're caping for devilishness. And then in the next breath, sitting up here saying, well, Yah is going to take care of us. And no, Yah ain't coming. Jesus ain't coming. That's just the reality, because y'all sitting up here condoning this evil. But you guys let me know what you think. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.